Welcome to this Tuesday night program of Dhammadharini on the first Tuesday of the month. We begin with the devotional chanting according to the short puja that's used at the Wat Buddhanasorn, who is also joining us tonight. Araham Samma Sambuddha Bhagava Buddhang Bhagavantang Abhivademi Svakato Bhagavata Dhammo Dhammam Namasami Supartipanno Bhagavato Savaka Sangho Sangham Namami Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa Iti piso Bhagava Araham Samma Sambuddha Vinjacharana Sampanno Sugato Lokavidu Hanumtaro Purisa Dhammasarati Samta Deva Manusanang Buddha Bhagavati Swakato Bhagavata Dhammo Samditiko Akaliko Ehipasiko Opanayiko Pachat Tam Vedita Bovim Yuhiti Supartipanno Bhagavato Savaka Sangho Ujjupatipanno Bhagavato Savaka Sangho Ayya Partipanno Bhagavato Savaka Sangho Samikipatipanno Bhagavato Savaka Sangho Yadidang Chattari Purisa Yugani Attapurisa Pumgala Esa Bhagavato Savaka Sangho Ahuneyo Pahuneyo Da Kelneyo Galikaraniyo Tarang Punya Ketang Lokasati. For those who are wishing to renew the 5 precepts, the next part is for you. You can recite this together with me. Mayang Bhante Visung Visung Rakkanataya Tisaranena Saha Panchasilani Yakchama Dutiyampi Mayang Bhante Visung Visung Rakkanataya tisaranena saha panchasilani yakchama tatiyampi mayang bhante visung visung rakkanataya tisaranena saha panchasilani yakchama. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddhang saranang gacchami, Dhammang saranang gacchami, Sanghang saranang gacchami, Dutiyampi Buddhang saranang gacchami, Dutiyampi Dhammang saranang gacchami, Dutiyampi Sanghang saranang gacchami, Tatiyampi Buddhang saranang gacchami, Tatiyampi Dhammang saranang gacchami, Tatiyampi Sanghang saranang gacchami. Panatipata viramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Adinadana viramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Kame samikchachara viramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Musavada viramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Suramevaya majjapamadatthana viramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. I undertake the precept to abstain from taking life, to abstain from taking what is not given, to abstain from sexual misconduct, to abstain from false speech, to abstain from intoxicants causing heedlessness. Now the principal teachings of the Buddha. Sabapapa sakanang kusala supasampada sachitta pariyodapanang etam buddhana sasanang. Honor the parents. Ananda guna sampanna janeti janaka ubha Maihang mata pitunang va padevandami sadaram hetena sakjavajena sarasoti bhavantu te. Honoring the teachers. Pakshiraksharya hunti gunuttaranusasaka pamyavudikarete te dinnovare namamihang etena satchavajena hotu me jaya mangalam. Radiating loving kindness. Sambe satta sukhita hontu, havera hontu, hamya panja hontu, anika hontu, Sukhiyatanang pariharantu. Dear friends, the theme that I wanted to talk to you about tonight was gratitude. And the part of this evening's chanting, which is not, I learned this chanting from the Wat Bonona's horn. I didn't encounter it before in the regular puja here at Dhammadharini or at the Bhavana Society or in some other places. This is a beautiful, beautiful reflection, which I understand is especially taught for children. To remember that both mother and father possess virtues without any limit. To reverently salute the feet of mother and father, and making the Satya Karniya, the declaration of truth, by the power of this truth, may I always enjoy well-being. And the next one is about honoring teachers. And as I learned when I tried to research more about the context of this chanting, it's not only used for a bhikkhu or a bhikkhuni teacher, but it's used for all teachers. So your kindergarten teacher and your elementary teacher or your college teacher, or even your good friend, anybody who's taught you a lesson, you may honor them with this chanting, this remembering, respecting, and giving the good wish for the teachers. The meaning of the chanting is that teachers are the exalted transmitters of worldly knowledge and skills. I pay homage to these advisors who cause understanding to flourish. By the power of this truth, may joyous victory be mine. I will remember the first time when I was attending a Sri Lankan, a small Sri Lankan temple where they have a special ceremony for respecting parents. So they had a wonderful activities in the afternoon with they had parents and children coming, and they had a lot of games and fun, and then they had the meal, and then after the meal there was a ceremony where each child would go and bow down and touch the feet of mom and dad, and then the parents would give them a gift. So there was one, most of the children there were from Sri Lankan background, and I suppose I'd seen this ceremony before, but there was one young American girl who had never seen anything like that and had never in her lifetime even considered the possibility to bow down and touch the feet of the parent and expressing respect, and so she was kind of hesitating. But she saw what the other children were doing, and so she bowed to her. She was there with her father, and she bowed down to her father, and it was an extremely heartwarming moment. And so this idea of gratitude is maybe not something that's so like fully taught in the Western culture, and for the father to receive that token of respect from the little girl was very heartwarming. There's another sutta. I pulled a few suttas about gratitude. In this one, King Pasenadi of Kosala visits the Buddha in his dwelling, and the king bowed down with his head at the Buddha's feet, caressing them, covering them with kisses, and pronounced his name. Sir, I am Pasenadi, king of Kosala. I am Pasenadi, king of Kosala. And the Buddha said, but great king, for what reason do you demonstrate such utmost devotion for this body, conveying your manifest love? And the king replied, sir, it's because of my gratitude and thanks for the Buddha that I demonstrate such utmost devotion, conveying my manifest love. So it might be that one can feel the heart melting with an image like that, and bring to mind the real inspiration that we feel for the Buddha, and let that be a starting point to sit in meditation, contemplating gratitude. So I welcome everyone to come to an upright and balanced posture for meditation. Aware of the physical body, feeling the weight of the body on the seat or the cushion. Feeling the upright posture of the body. Relaxing the soft parts of the body. Letting the face be relaxed. Letting the shoulders relax. Letting the belly be soft. Just aware of what it's like to be sitting in silence. Aware of the sensations touching the body. And the feeling that arises from that. aware of any thoughts or perceptions touching the mind, and the feeling coming from that. This is just the neutral state, what you brought to the cushion. Just in the middle, whatever it's like, just to be aware of that. And then bringing to mind the awesome, wonderful qualities of the Buddha. How fortunate to be in a world where a Buddha can arise. How lucky to remember that Buddha and his great qualities. How fantastic that a human can discover full liberation and the way to liberation. How compassionate the Buddha was, teaching so many people. How amazing the Dhamma which is passed down, so clear and useful, leading to such profound result. How grateful we are to be in a world where this Dhamma is still remembered. How amazing that the noble Sangha, disciples of the Buddha, could hear those teachings and then realize for themselves that full liberation. And bringing to mind mother and father who gave us this human existence, who loved us so much when we were little, who would do everything for us. and bringing to mind our good friends, those who help us, those who are wise and virtuous, who help us to understand, who help us to be good. And including all those people and beings who do something to help our existence, to help us keep going. Those who give the food, the farmer who grows the food, the laborer who works so hard, and every other part of life. Including every being connected to us who supports our existence with a heart of gratitude, appreciation, and thanks. Just staying in silence with those thoughts and aware of the feeling connected with those thoughts of gratitude. And when this gratitude contemplation is too much thinking and the mind is ready to be quiet, then keep the feeling of gratitude and let go of the stories about it. Just resting silently with gratitude. And if there's any shadow of hurt or harm connected with our friends, our parents, our teachers, acknowledge that dukkha held between two people and bring up the thought of compassion, fully releasing any resentment or grudge about that, with the pure wish for that dukkha to be resolved, to be lifted, so that receiving the goodness of all of our friends and supporters and helpers is not touched by any shadow, appreciating everything good that we've received, contented with everything that we have received. So, dear friends, the Buddha recommends gratitude. It's called katanyuta, knowing what was done. And this, I think, is very much associated with having a right view about understanding causation, recognizing that our very existence, whatever we've got at this present moment, whatever kind of a mixed bag of qualities that are wonderful or qualities that are difficult or qualities that are pleasant and enjoyable, qualities that are painful or challenging. All of this is the result of gazillions of previous events and choices that were made by us in this lifetime and in previous lifetimes in interaction with all of the beings that we've encountered through this lifetime and through all the preceding lives. One of the descriptions of a person who has wrong view that's condemned by the Buddha is if a person believes there is no mother and there is no father. And the description of right view is somebody who believes that there is mother, that there is father. What's that about? Well, in the ancient culture, there was an idea that when a person is a deceased, that the offerings made on their behalf by their relatives would have something to do with helping them to continue with a happy existence in heaven. And so there's a very strong and powerful tradition of making offerings, making dedication for our deceased parents, which it leads to a culture which is very sensitive to feeling the connection with those who have gone before, those who have passed away. Um, but then there would be some people who have a materialist philosophy, which thinks that whatever uh, uh, actions a person does, whether they're um, good or bad, virtuous or evil, actions that a person does in one lifetime has no impact beyond the extent of that lifetime, because they think death is the finish, that there's no further consequences after death. And so then their uh, moral system is very much colored by that view. So the person who thinks that they don't need to make any offerings or remember their mother and father are dead, they're gone, so forget them. They're gone. If someone has an idea like that, that's the same kind of person who thinks that they would escape the consequences of their actions when death comes. And this is antithetical to the wisdom that the Buddha was leading to. Now, we know that the Buddha also uh, uh, tried to explain so that we could understand that the continuity of karma does not mean that there's a literal, physical, eternal um, nugget of a self, which is jumping from one body to another body at the time of death, and inheriting the results of the previous actions in that way. But despite his seeing the other kind of impossible dilemma that this wrong view of the self brings about, nevertheless, the Buddha was absolutely um, dedicated to the value of understanding and appreciating causation. That it was exactly his breakthrough involved having that ability to see and penetrate the universal process of causation. And for some reason, there were different kind of ways that people who didn't understand could fall on one side of this wisdom, or they could fall the other side. They could fall short, or they could go too far. But Buddha reserved a special criticism and a warning against those skeptical or those uh, uh, nihilistic materialists who thought there's no mother and father. And actually, it doesn't even make sense in the most ordinary, common kind of wisdom. It's just thinking about what is going on in this lifetime, not to mention in the evolution of culture and the evolution of history at the most simple sense, not to mention that in terms of the karmic continuity uh, uh, through multiple lives, to see that We are the result of gazillions of causes that came before us. And in a certain kind of way, even the things that we were touched by in the past, which were terrible, horrible, no good, rotten, evil things, that even those painful conditions could have been creating the circumstance for ethical maturity and compassion, to have a chance to actually know that this samsaric world is touched by dukkha, and that in samsara there's a lot that goes on that's painful, a lot that goes on that's cruel, a lot that goes on that's mean, a lot that goes on that's selfish. And so if we have been touched in the past by selfishness, cruelty, foolishness, or meanness, or something like that, well, that's actually also part of the combination of everything, which has brought us to the perfection of this actual moment right here, that we are intelligent humans who have minds that are capable of listening and hearing this Dhamma, hearing this, the teaching of the Buddha, capable of comprehending, capable of practicing, and capable of the breakthrough to the noble path, capable of actually letting go and going beyond the taints, and breaking out of the cycle of reactivity, and coming to experience freedom. That's all possible for us. So we don't need to cut off our access to the benefit of this teaching because of resentments of those things of which we were the victims in the past. And we have to know and acknowledge that the simplest, most basic kinds of love and appreciation that we will have experienced in this life and through many lives has been so crucial to let us know what happiness is, to let us know what hope is. It's not just having a lot of toys, or having a comfortable bed, or having a warm house, or having enough food in the pantry that brings happiness. The thing that brought you happiness was somebody that you cared about, who would see you, someone that you cared about who believes in you, someone who you cared about who likes you. And so then there's something in that which is an essential part of this path, even though we know that in the end, that's not going to be the answer in the end, but it has to be part of the answer along the way. In the Mahamangala Sutta, they say that gratitude and contentment are the supreme blessing. And there is a way, isn't there, that gratitude and contentment sort of goes together. So the contented mind is a mind which is willing to be satisfied with reality the way it is, who's not continuously agitated because of continually being displeased with reality the way it is, or continuously wanting reality to be something different than what it is. So in modern times, there are parts of our culture that actually train children to be, or train people to be dissatisfied. That's sort of part of our culture, and it may be also part of human nature. But we see that there's the famous some kind of pain medicine like Excedrin or aspirin or something like that that would give these little stories in their commercials, and like in 30 seconds that would connote a situation that was extremely painful, and then you would need to go to the medicine cabinet and take a pill for your headache. The one that I remember is the slogan was, "Mother, please, I'd rather do it myself." And so that is the horrible situation that gives you a headache and you have to take a pill. And so uh, contentment is the opposite. Contentment would be, "Thank you, Mother, I know you mean well. You know, thank you. Thank you for trying to help." You know, and that is the part and parcel with that gratitude and contentment goes together. So the contented mind is the mind which is sort of inclining towards equanimity. This powerful spiritual strength, which is able to face up to the most terrifying, frightening, challenging, or difficult circumstances in samsara without being thrown off into any kind of disturbance, which is able to stay solid and stable on any kind of circumstance. And we need that equanimity because part of this path of training is that we do come to see how really terrible the samsaric existence is, and to become disenchanted with all of the things that we used to turn to for our comfort, the things that we used to turn to for a sense of safety and security and refuge, to realize that none of those things is the true refuge. Only the triple gem is our true refuge. But this process of turning away from, taking refuge in friends, reputation, good luck, different kinds of security, and realizing that none of those things is the answer, that can be really scary and frightening. A person may be on the path of practice, and it's just this like this complete letting go of dependence on everything in this conditioned world. Is just the mind will not go there because of fear, not afraid to let go. And then it's at that point that the equanimity is the powerful factor that makes us able to kind of like step over the brink and be ready to let go at a deeper and deeper level. And what's the precondition for equanimity? Well, one of the preconditions is this contentment, this attitude of being able, willing to be okay with the way it is, to be okay with reality. And being okay also then is very much supportive of gratitude, because if we, if we're not okay with the way things are, then the people who are trying to help us, we don't really like the way they're trying to help us. They're too much of this or too little of that. And so I've got some reservation that it's just not quite perfect enough for us. Or if even this Dhamma, which is passed down to us, if we're I've got a dissatisfied and discontented mind, one could speculate that the teachings that were taught, that were handed down to us, were just merely a result of the culture and the history of that time. And so we don't really need to take it seriously because of some kind of historical analysis. Or we could say that they, this is a good one. Some modern, like academic scholars, have the idea that the ancient enlightened arahants who memorized the teaching of the Buddha and handed them down and made the original early commentaries enunciating the significance of the suttas that were passed down. Some people think, well, they didn't really have the knowledge that we have. They didn't know about, I don't know, something about history or something about neuroscience or science or something about psychology or something about philosophy, that we know something that we know better than what they know. And so they were so like naive and foolish that they didn't really understand what they were hearing. But we can understand it better. So that's an example of a kind of a discontented mind, which is looking to find fault. And even though we acknowledge and see that obviously history was a factor, that the Buddha lived at a particular time, and that the teachings were passed down by humans who were being subjected over the hundreds and thousands of years, and subjected to the vagaries of history. And even while we know all that, because of having both contentment and gratitude, we appreciate the goodness of what was passed down. Perhaps I will I remind you that one of the protective meditations is when a noble disciple recollects their own generosity. They may recollect, I'm so fortunate, so very fortunate, among people full of the stain of stinginess. I live at home rid of the stain of stinginess, freely generous, open-handed, loving to let go, committed to charity, loving to give and to share. And when a noble disciple recollects their generosity, their mind is not full of greed, hatred, and delusion. And there's another reflection where the Buddha similarly recommends contemplating the generosity of others. So contemplating one's own generosity, contemplating the generosity of others is one to parts of this protective meditations that can be to our benefit, be to our gain, even if it were happened that I don't know if there's anybody in the room who's not heard these teachings and thought and practiced with this for a long time. But if you didn't know that it's useful to think about gratitude, I'm telling you that it is useful. And it's useful to do so on purpose, intentionally, to even take time to do this contemplation. In the monastery, we attempt to keep a list of the kind deeds that were done for us, and to bring them to mind, especially before the meals on a daily basis. And we also have a couple of people in our Sangha bhikkhunis now who've become, in a certain way, specialists on behalf of the community in sending personal letters of appreciation for people who've helped us in one way or another. And just reading and seeing those beautiful expressions of generosity and hearing about the good things that were done, then that is so beneficial and inspirational, uplifting, and helping to release tension and to make the mind calm, pliable, open-minded, and flexible. The practice that I've taken up personally is to somebody gave some sort of like inexpensive small books. They're like this little notebooks. Each one is about maybe 20 pages or 50 pages or something like that. And this little small paper book that fits in the pocket. And so my practice is when I encounter a good deed, to write it down, especially out on the alms round. If some stranger comes along and gives something on the alms round, to ask for that person's name if they're willing to give a name, and to write down the name of that person and what they gave, and then giving a blessing right there, and then afterwards, later on, recollecting that person and giving that blessing. Even the person who might be someone like on the alms round, we meet a variety of people. Somebody who was a strong Christian who tried to help us to turn towards Jesus. Well, okay, that person really was trying to do something kind, wasn't he? He was trying out of love and compassion, trying to help. And so we give the kindness, remember that kindness, and give the blessing to that person. Even I learned this from Banda Gunaratana. When he was a little bit younger, he used to walk every single day on the road in West Virginia, in this very Christian neighborhood of rural West Virginia. And he always walked at the same time of day. And so some of the very same people, he would see the same person driving past in their car every single day. And so one lady always slowed down when she came to him. And she always would roll down the window and shout out, "Jesus loves you." And Bante's answer was he always would give this, he's got a beautiful smile. He'd say, "Thank you." And that, so um, that's how we are able to be free from the stain of stinginess and free from the stain of aversion, free from greed, free from hatred. And then that is making the ground, for everybody who does anything, no matter what they've done. They, one or another, they have some kind of intention towards happiness, because that's like the nature of beings. We learn this in the Dhammapada. All beings have the desire for happiness. And so whatever they did it because they thought it was for happiness. And so then we can say thank you even for those who might be on a different wavelength than we are. But then all the more so, those persons who are on the wavelength that we're on in terms of the Dhamma, in terms of the practice, are those who are above us, those who have accomplished what we hope to accomplish, those who have realized what we hope to realize, and having the gratitude and appreciation for them, for their existence in the world, and for whatever they can do to teach us and show us the way. I'd like to pause now and open for questions. Questions or comments. If anybody is happy to give a report about what they understand the Buddha advised us to do in terms of gratitude, and how they practice with that teaching. So now I'm switching my computer over to a format where I can see some of you. So if there's a comment or a question, please raise your hand. And if nobody raises their hand, then I'm going to call on one of our monastics in the room here. Would you say something about your experience with sending the thank yous, sending the Anumodanas? I'm going to be quiet now. Okay. Okay. Saket?
Yes, thank you so much for today's teaching, Ayya. I just wanted to share that I think the meditation was very helpful for me in terms of, first of all, mother and father. Like, I could never understand that earlier. And this was one time where that meaning was kind of opened up. So thank you very much for that. Also, the reverence for parents, the kind of, way of demonstrating love towards the Buddha. These anecdotes I thought were very powerful. And then as we went forward, and you also talked about if there's a lot of thinking, now put the thinking on the side and just be with the gratitude. And I thought that was very, kind of like, it allowed my mind to coast a little bit in gratitude. And it was a new experience altogether, because otherwise I'm always trying to hinge the mind onto some object or some, but it was just kind of
Yeah.
very beautiful experience. So yes, and I also enjoyed your teachings very much. For example, everybody does everything with some desire for goodness or happiness in mind. So I think those are things which I can definitely use as, off the cushion as well. So thank you very much for that.
Okay. You're welcome. I had something to add a moment ago, but it left me. So maybe it will come back later. I'll call on Damon.
Okay, so I'm wondering if you think of the Buddhist analog to the more colloquial expression, "I count my blessings every day." Um, is there something from the Dhammapada that also is sort of like, analogous, but perhaps expressed in a different way? I'm sure you've heard that one, right? I count my blessings. I count my blessings.
Yes. Usually that's when somebody is really feeling down and suffering, when they're having the negatives at the top of mind. And then their counselor advises them, well, you should count your blessings. Because even though, the Punavada Sutta, he's going to leave central India where the Buddha was and go to another country where the people are wild and uncivilized. And the Buddha says, well, they may insult you. And he says, well, if they insult me, then I'll count my blessing and say, at least they didn't throw rocks at me. Right? And then, if they say, what if they threw rocks at you? So, well, I'll count my blessings. At least they didn't hit me. and I said, what if they hit you? And says, well, I'll count my blessings. At least they didn't kill me. And he says, well, what if they kill you? And he says, then I'll count my blessings because at least I went to my death without getting angry.
Oh, that is very touching. I've heard that before. Yes.
Yeah. So in a certain way, by he's saying that like evil is finite, not infinite.
Mm-hmm.
And so whatever evil we are, either evil or misfortune that we encounter, it's limited. But then Nibbana is not limited.
Mm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very good. Thank you.
I'd like to find out whether Venerable Tavira would be willing to speak about the significance or what you've gained by taking.
Thank you, Ayya. Yes, I've been making a commitment to really be attending to and remembering and sending Anumodana emails for just all of the people who offer so many things to us in so many ways. And, it can be someone who stops by and, brings a dish to add to the meal, or it could be someone who does some volunteer task or helps us with preparing a program, and to really just like focus my mind on attending to those things and saying like, oh, I see a new thing in the community room, like who brought that, to really kind of be attuning my mind to noticing all of those acts of kindness, and then really like feeling the benefit of that to us, and then also writing to those people and reminding them of the benefit and bringing it back to their mind, this good thing that they did, and that it's, appreciated and has benefit to us and benefit to the world. And yeah, it makes such a difference to have kind of that be the focus, or at least one of the focuses of my day, to really be attending to those things. And then for myself, then remembering like, oh, like these are the things that matter to people. And so maybe I should turn my mind to looking for opportunities to do those things myself. So yeah, it's just, everyone says, it's common advice to say, start a gratitude journal, that kind of thing. And like what Ayya Sobhana is doing. And so it's sort of like having a community-wide gratitude journal that I have the benefit of being the one to help implement. So yeah, it's wonderful, and I recommend it. And even just to have in my personal life, I have a dedication also to to think back, and even if I'm like, that thing that person told me 5 years ago, like really made a difference in my life. Like I should go back and tell them that, and it's just really beneficial to have your mind looking for those opportunities instead of looking for opportunities to notice negative things.
This is the way in which there's a virtuous synergy in with gratitude. That when somebody does something good, they may feel three kinds of happiness. They feel happy before they've done it, while they're thinking about doing it, and then they feel happy while they're doing it, and then afterwards, remembering it, they feel happy for the third time. But then when we see the merit of what somebody is doing, then that brings us a lot of happiness. So we rejoice. That's our anumodana, to rejoice. And then if they are dedicating the merit of their gift to some purpose, it could be their relatives, or it could be, somebody who's ill, or it could be categories. So all the people affected by war, may my gift be dedicated to them, and so in some kind of way, if anybody is like aware that somebody somewhere in the world is thinking of them and giving a blessing, then they may feel some happiness and relief from their situation. And so then we feel so inspired, uplifted, and happy about this. But then they also can see how happy we are, and then they get even more happy. So then this anumodana thing sort of like circulates back and forth. And then, as Venerable Tavira mentioned, if you notice something that somebody did that was helpful, beneficial to you, if you notice it clearly, then you would like to do the same type of thing. So then, by the example, then just by noticing, then it becomes effective in creating the synergy, so that positive behavior then becomes commonplace within a society or within a culture. It's said that there have been certain happy times at certain blessed communities where the normal thought of a person would be that they expect to do good, and they expect that their good deeds will be reciprocated. And so then they're happy just naturally from, there's a certain like a beauty aspect about virtuous behavior. So it's that kind of behavior is beautiful. It makes us happy in itself. And also the expectation of a certain kind of reciprocity in society then enhances the happiness. And that's the opposite to an unfortunate and vicious society where a person might have the expectation that other people are out to harm you, and if you do a good deed, then they will take advantage of you, and you will not get a reciprocity for your good deeds. And it's more important to protect yourself from being harmed than to act in the expectation of mutual kindness. And if your society, your place of work, your family happens to have that very sad and unfortunate quality, it's difficult indeed to grow or to thrive or to be successful. But if you are so lucky as to have a family or a community or a society where there's that reciprocity of kindness, then, as Damon said, you should count your blessings and know that this is something that is helpful to oneself and also helpful to all. It's helpful to the best people, and it's also helpful to the mediocre people, and it's also very helpful to people who might be like below average if they live in a society which is kind. It's even helpful, isn't it, to the animals if they're so lucky as to live in a society which is kind. Yeah. Okay, Richard.
Thank you, Ayya. There's a couple of suttas in the Samyutta Nikaya dealing with gratitude. Let's see if I can find them. Oh, no, I'm sorry. It's I believe the Anguttara Nikaya. Sorry. Yeah, Anguttara Nikaya. They're just short references, and says, and what is the plane of the good person? A good person is grateful and thankful, for gratitude and thankfulness are extolled by the good. Gratitude and thankfulness belong entirely to the plane of the good person. And there's also another one. Bhikkhus, one possessing four qualities is deposited in heaven as if brought there. What for? Bodily good conduct, verbal good conduct, mental good conduct, and gratitude or thankfulness. One possessing these four qualities is deposited in heaven as if brought there. So, so I was just thinking how, like you're saying, that having this mind of gratitude is very uplifting. I think that's what Buddha means by, they're brought to heaven as if deposited there, right? They have like a heavenly mind, you might say. And but you made me think of something else. Now, I know there are some suttas where very detailed explanation, there's two of them specifically in the Majjhima Nikaya, of going to hell and all the horrors and everything, and certain things are described as, being in hell for like long periods of time and all that kind of stuff. But there's also a sutta in the Samyutta Nikaya where the Buddha says there is no hell below the ocean, because if you know the structure of the way it's described, the caves of the Patalas are like levels, and they're lower than the bottom of the ocean, under the earth, lower than the earth under the ocean. So there's a sutta where he actually denies such a thing. But let's take that as, I think that's actually the correct idea for a number of reasons I won't go into. But you made me think about something, which is, as you develop this heavenly mind and you go into the heavens, right, the lifespan gets longer and longer and longer. So this sukha of gratitude, right? You were saying earlier that, can't remember the exact quote, was it suffering or something doesn't last?
The suffering is limited. Yeah.
Is limited, right? And that when you said that, it hit my mind that, oh yeah, as you go into the heavens, right, less and less suffering and longer and longer and longer and longer, existence and lifespan. Anyways, that was just the point I wanted to make. Anyway, thank you very much for listening.
Oh, thank you. So I think this may be enough for tonight, and I appreciate everybody for your patient listening, for your smiles, and for your practice, for your aspirations. We can close by giving respect to the Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha. Aram Samma Sambuddha Bhagava Buddhang Bhagavantam Abhivademi Svakato Bhagavata Dhammo Dhammang Namasami Subhatipanno Bhagavato Savaka Sangho Sangham Namami.
Excuse me, Ayya, this is Richard.
Yes.
I wanted to ask a question. Normally, almost every week we get an email and it lists the programs and the times and stuff, but I noticed lately we haven't been getting that. We've been getting different kinds of email. I'm just wondering if you've stopped sending out those emails. We've been getting different kinds of emails, like, the special programs you've been doing and things like that, during this, I don't know, call it holiday season or something.
I've sometimes, because of our schedule, the emails have been coming out late, but at least by 7 or 8 o'clock on Sunday morning, you have your email. The weekly email from me. So you should be able to find it, and it's called Online and In-Person Programs of Dhammadharini or something like that. So we're not giving it up. We're entering into our winter retreat, and so we are continuing to teach the Sunday and Tuesday programs during the winter retreat, and you will be hearing us during the winter retreat. There's some very important events that we are going to be recollecting and being grateful about. We're going to remember the Arhat Mahapajapati, who was the founder of the Bhikkhuni Sangha, and we're going to commemorate the moment when she announced her upcoming Parinibbana and taught the Dhamma continuously for 7 days. So we're going to be remembering 7 days of Mahapajapati and her great generosity pouring out with Dhamma teachings for the disciples. And then that's coming up in February. And then in March, we have a chance to remember Rahula Mata Bimba Yasodhara, who was the wife of the Bodhisattva, and who had parallel, in many ways, her experience parallel to his. So we're going to have some special programs, and also the regular programs will be happening, even though most of the time we're going to be in meditation and retreat. So I hope that the Dhamma that I have to give you will be even better than usual, because of having the gift of more extended time for meditation.
Oh, I have one other question. I'm going to be having to change my email because I was last year, I was got an identity theft attack. So I don't want an email with my name on it anymore, because I think that's like a way that identity thieves can kind of like try to figure out who you are and try to attack you. So I was just wondering, how do I get a new email to you? Should I just reply to the emails that I'm getting? Or?
Well, if you visit Dhammadharini.net and go to the teaching and go to the weekly program and then register to participate in any one of our 3 weekly programs, that's how I get the addresses that will be included. But if that's too complicated, you can just send us a note, and I will register you for you. But you can do it yourself by visiting Dhammadharini.net and registering for the Dhamma programs that you're interested in.
Okay, but how do I get rid of the old email, the one that you have right now?
You could, well, there's a way to do it, but the best thing is to, is it time? Can I cancel you now?
No.
When it's the right time, send me a note when
then
it's the right
maybe
time, and I'll get rid of that old email. Okay?
Okay, all right. Okay, thank you.
Okay. So,
Yeah, I can't seem to raise my hand virtually, so I did have one quick question. I know in previous years, there's been a theme for the retreat at the monastery that we've sometimes followed along with. Is there one that's been selected this year?
almost, but we'll tell you when we do the final vote.
Okay, there's a vote. Wow. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Ayya, for the lesson today. We bow to our teacher.
Sampai Buddha Bala Pata Pachekananjayam Balam Arahanta Nanjate Jaina Rakam Bandhami Sabasa.
Good night, Ayya.
Okay. Good
Thank
night all.